Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering human creativity. I am Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Sarah Johnson, who serves as Carnegie Hall's Chief Education Officer, and she is certainly renowned in terms of her leadership in this space. She has received the Arts Education Leadership Award from Americans for the Arts, the American Express NGen Leadership Award. In the past, Musical America has named her one of 30 rising stars in the performing arts. I could go on, but Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Great to be here.
So it's so great to have you on the show, and I especially feel very lucky because I've had the opportunity to be able to work with you over the years and see the impact of your work, which is really extraordinary. And so I thought it would be helpful just to kind of start off. If you could kind of share, what does a chief education officer of Carnegie Hall do, right? So kind of our storied institution in the nation, but kind of what is the scope and the breadth of what that entails that you lead, and the breadth of that impact?
Sure. Thank you. So I am the Chief Education Officer and also Director of the Wild Music Institute. So that's just the name for the education and social impact programs of Carnegie Hall. And they are quite broad in their reach. So we do a lot of work with students and teachers in schools in New York City and then more broadly across the country and the world, both through partnerships and through direct work with schools in the digital space. And that work is really about introducing young people to all different kinds of music, giving them great participatory learning opportunities around music. We are passionate about music teachers, and in addition to those programs, we also do a bunch of things that are really about celebrating, connecting, networking, and giving more knowledge to music educators, because we know how important they are in quality music education for young people across the country. Then we do work like we support the National Youth Ensembles, NYO USA, NYO2, and NYO Jazz, all free programs for young musicians that bring them together in the summer to learn together, to play together, and then to tour nationally or internationally. And we then do quite a lot of work that is in different kinds of community settings where musical engagement can really be catalytic to human growth and development. So those are things like our work across the justice system. We work across the whole youth justice system in New York City, and for more than 12 years have been working up at Sing Sing maximum security facility with a group of men there and within the facility more broadly. We run programs for early childhood, like the Lullaby Project, that really looks at maternal health and early childhood development and the crucial role that music can play in that space. So it's a big, broad range of programming, and I get to work with so many amazing people who make all of that programming happen.
Totally. Well, clearly you're not busy at all, right? So, I mean, that's an extraordinary breadth. Two quick things, kind of in the totality of the breadth. Am I right that overall the programming basically that you oversee, that's getting close to maybe even 1 million young people that you're impacting?
Yeah, we're around 800,000 at the moment, and growing. And with the COVID pivot and all of the expansion of digital work, I suspect that will continue to grow.
Yeah, totally. And another quick question, just about the work relating to social justice and the judicial system. How does that, because I know there are a number of people who try to do different work like that. We have a local program here in Michigan, PCAP, Prison Creative Arts Project. And just wondering for Carnegie, how does that manifest? What role do you try to play utilizing the arts in that way?
So different roles in different spaces. Just briefly at Sing Sing, we have been working for, I think I said for 12 years, and we're really running a music workshop in the facility for about 35 men who are doing serious compositional work, instrumental work, and vocal work. So teaching artists are there every other week, working with those men, and they're writing serious music at a really incredible level across genres. We have a man who is writing an opera, largely inspired, I think, by Joyce DiDonato, who has come into the facility many times, and he got totally inspired to write an opera. There's some incredible jazz that's being written. There's chamber music. There's R&B and hip hop. So in addition to supporting that, we also support concerts and performances that include the music by those men alongside artists who come in from the outside. And I'm happy to say that many of those men have come home, and we support a monthly kind of musical reentry program for them. They come together at the hall, they continue to make music together, and to be in community together. Right. So there we're really running a direct program, but we also work in the city in the youth justice space as a re-granting program in partnership with the Department of Probation. And there we're really helping support the Department of Probation and working directly with community stakeholders to make decisions about what kinds of arts opportunities they want for the young people in their communities. They own those decisions, they make those decisions, and we help support then the implementation of all of that work. Right. So that's a little bit of a different role. And I guess those are the two clearest examples, and then we do some other things in between.
Yeah. No, it's extraordinary and obviously clear impact. And so, it's interesting as and I grew up as a violinist, and oftentimes you would have conversations with people like, oh, and they hear anything relating to especially music education or arts education, they think, well, okay, maybe a youth orchestra or, kids playing the violin for the first time, that kind of thing. But as you, of course, have shared, there's such a breadth to Carnegie's impact across this area and this field. And one of those projects, your Lullaby Project, which is now celebrating 10 years, is really truly extraordinary, and obviously a different type of approach from that. Could you kind of share kind of what the Lullaby Project is and how it's having an impact?
Sure, of course. So Lullaby started from a partnership that we had with Jacobi Hospital in the South Bronx. And we had been working there for a while and doing different things. And we were in this big collaborative planning meeting with people from the hospital, staff members, physicians, nurses, artists from Carnegie, staff from Carnegie, and kind of just finding out from Jacobi what was going on for them and what they were thinking about. And they started to talk about their pregnant teen population. And they talked about the challenges that young women face when they are going through pregnancy at that age. And one of the things that happens is that it's hard for them often to attach emotionally to their infants. And attachment is incredibly important for the long-term health and well-being of young families, for babies and for parents. And a couple of us thought immediately, like, ooh, what about lullabies? What if those young moms had the chance to collaborate with an artist, and that chance gave them the opportunity to step outside of the situation and to think a little bit about their hopes and dreams for their children and for their relationships they wanted to have with their infants? And what if they could then write some lyrics and work with an artist to actually have a song and then have a recording of that song? And how might they use that song? How might it support and connect them within their communities and maybe even more broadly beyond their families? So that conversation happened in the fall of 2011. We piloted the project a couple times that year, and it has expanded and grown in so many different ways. Lullaby takes place in 10 different locations across the city. So we're always thinking about inequity and injustice. And so we're working in public health, in public education, in the justice system. We work with people experiencing homelessness. And We also now work with nearly 50 organizations around the world, all over the world, who are bringing Lullaby to so many different settings, to refugee camps, to correctional facilities, to schools, all kinds of different places where artists and people in community organizations have found that this project can adapt to really meet the needs of young families in their communities.
It's really just amazing. And again, of course, yet another example of this role that the arts and music can play in our lives and impact overall well-being and opportunity. Really extraordinary. And so one thing I was wondering, a lot of everyone says, oh, okay, I know a lullaby, et cetera, and kind of what that meant in my childhood. As you programmatically look at something and leading it, do you kind of have a definition that a lullaby falls under, or how do you define that when you think programmatically?
We really let the families decide what that means to them.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about it. It's interesting because some of the lullabies are, I think of a lullaby as being, kind of soothing and calming and a place for soothing a child. And we've actually learned that it can also be a really powerful tool to soothe a parent as well. But some of our families want to write a song that is celebrating the energy of an infant or a toddler. And so some of them are super high energy and joyful, and some of them are much more contemplative and reflective. And we really leave that definition in the hands of the participants. And then we share a lot of different lullabies. So we're always encouraging families to find ways of using lullabies, not only the ones they've written, but also just using music more broadly.
Right.
And we know, the other thing I just would say is that, sometimes people say to me, like, well, why does this matter? There's so many big issues in the world, or what's at stake? Well, what's at stake? And the thing about young families is that this time is so crucial. The first 3 years of life, 80% of brain development happens. 80%, but only if there's a healthy pregnancy and a family is well supported and feels safe and secure. Maternal health report, the last global international maternal health report, the US was 33rd from the bottom in 179 countries in terms of the state of maternal health in this country. So, and that impact falls disproportionately on people who are living in poverty. So the stakes are high. This is a time of incredibly important brain development, family development, and music can actually play a role. It has many, many, many powerful positive impacts and can contribute. It doesn't solve any of those problems, but we can contribute as musicians, and that's really exciting.
I love that. And especially a couple core things. One, of course, is the ownership involvement of the program participants in terms of even just defining what lullaby means for them and all of that. And another aspect that I think I love, and that's growing for so many organizations, and I know so many of our viewers who are administrators, that you're not only doing this directly in person, but then also bringing it digitally, right? And going on to Carnegie's SoundCloud. And if I'm right, over 130,000 listens and have been occurring and across dozens and dozens of countries, maybe even 50 countries around the world. So I think that digital piece also seems really important as you look at the architecture of the program.
Totally. And I would add that during COVID, we also started to do some virtual lullaby writing, which we always thought would not be as powerful. But we have found that it has been surprisingly effective, actually. For one thing, we're in each other's homes. So there's like a level of intimacy that can happen in a home setting that makes the lullaby, it just contributes to it in beautiful ways. Other family members can join and participate. And it also makes it really as easy as possible for a family to join. They don't have to go somewhere. They don't have to, do that much. So that has also been really interesting. And yes, the SoundCloud is enormous. We post lullabies that are written across projects, and all of the partners post lullabies. Tons of people are listening to them. We have celebration concerts where we share great lullabies each year. And I think the engagement around this project really speaks to the beauty and simplicity of this idea of a lullaby. Across time, across location, adults have been singing to infants to soothe them, to comfort them, to soothe themselves, to express love. And that's really powerful.
Awesome. Awesome. So unfortunately, we are just about out of time, but I always like to check with our amazing leader guests. Is there, with everything that you have to oversee, there's got to be some tough days. There's got to be days where things are not going right. And when you face those challenges, where do you draw upon for inspiration, for strength to be able to address them and overcome them?
Yeah, we all have those days, don't we? I think the first place I go is to the work itself. So I might revisit music that's been written in programs and make sure that I am kind of centering the voice and hearing the voices of participants and of the amazing artists who do this work with us. I think that's where I go first. And then I'm a big reader. I love to read all kinds of different things, and lots of fiction, but also nonfiction, and reading about people who have done amazing things in the world in a totally different environment and overcome crazy odds or discovered miraculous things, I think is another place I go to keep inspired and kind of shake up the way I'm thinking about things.
Awesome. Well, Sarah Johnson, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Aaron. It's been my great pleasure. Thanks for having me.